Hi guys. Today we are here at the Capitol. I just want to do this really quick because I am downtown and I might as well just take a break and do this. We're gonna talk about borderline personality disorder. What is borderline personality disorder and why is it important for you to know what this is? Okay, so borderline personality disorder is a serious mental illness that causes those who have it to see people and situations as all good or all bad, okay? Because some people thrive in chaos and you need to know how to spot those people, okay? They have extreme blink of an eye kind of mood swings, and they feel, most of the time they feel really empty inside and without any kind of real identity. We're gonna call them people with BPD now, okay? People with BPD act impulsively. And if you say, hey, well, acting impulsively is just taking care of business, you might have BPD. Listen, are you always bored? Addiction to excitement happens when you have an unregulated nervous system and you don't know how to soothe yourself, okay? Addiction to drama is a way to act out, okay? I was always afraid of being bored, so I would try really hard not to feel really bored, and I would try a whole bunch of different excitements. This is why I have a pretty exciting life, right? So I thought, right? The truth is that excitement and boredom are just two sides of the same coin, and this coin is called anxiety. Yeah, anxiety. When you don't know how to regulate yourself, when you have no clue that, you have these triggers, and when you have these triggers, you're constantly feeling stressed and cortisol is running rampant in your body, and you have no clue why you don't feel good, why you're not sleeping well. You have two choices. You can feel restless and discontent, which is feel boredom, or you can override the feeling of anxiety by creating a whole bunch of excitement. And that is adrenaline addiction, cortisol addiction. If you grow up with a lot of trauma, your body gets used to cortisol and gets used to adrenaline. And it feels like home, and you'll pick people that feel familiar to you because your nervous system thinks familiar is better, right? We talked about that. We need to put things on the table, okay? And deal with it as we see it. Because unless we put things out there and talk about it, we can't understand it. And we need to understand BPD. So these people have an extremely bad fear of abandonment, and they spend a lot of time self-loathing, okay? This causes them to lash out at others without any like baseline. They have like baseless accusations and very ugly criticism. You know what I mean when I say that, right? It's very common among people with BPD. They experience the world a lot different than most people, okay? Scientists and people that study the brain don't know why this disorder messes up with this frontal lobe, but it distorts critical thinking processes, and it results in emotions and actions that are not normal, okay? Look at this pretty fountain, okay? So, I mean, you know, these people live in a world of extremes. You know that. Most people live in homeostasis, which is everything is the same. But these people live in a world where everything is either all good or all bad, with nothing in between. Okay? To them, they don't just like somebody. They elevate this person so high, it is impossible to be on that pedestal. And then they knock them down. And then they get disappointed. Okay? And you know that happens a lot. Their expectations are delusional. One mishap and they believe you were like a worthless piece of crap. And they need to get you out of their life and replace you. It's always divorce with those people, right? They can't just have arguments. Everything is super intense. And if you were to feel what they feel, you'll be overwhelmed with this really intense feeling of self-loathing and fear and abandonment. Depression, anger, irritation, paranoia, it's also a thing with them, okay? Think of DPD as cancer. And what cancer does, what BPD does and cancer, it eats away at your body and your mind. It's not fun. It's actually very tragic. And if you live with one, you know that they behave really impulsively. Nothing can think through. They make friends very easily, but give them a little time, and their relationships end up with a really horrible story that involves some really messed up, irrational behavior. Okay, not fun stories, tragic ones. If you know somebody that has BPD, you listen, answer these questions, okay? And if your answer to these questions are yes, then you'll know for sure, okay? Do you walk on eggshells every time you're around them? Does this person either sees you as super hateful, right? Like you're like the worst person in the world, who never loved them, or they see you like as a source of like, oh, an angel, you're blessed, and an unbelievable love. It is always like that. It's always your fault. Are you the target of constant criticism? Are there times when everything seems normal? You're on their good side and you're even having some fun, and with no apparent reason, everything falls apart? When they get angry, does it turn into like a vicious attack? Do they use fear? Do they use obligation? Do they use guilt to get their way? Do you feel so manipulated that you don't trust them at all? Yeah? If you say yes, you know what I'm saying. You can't build a life with those people, because humanity is built on cooperation and trust. You have to trust people to work with them, okay? Things fall apart all the time, right? You need to be a leader and take charge and calm things down, not create more issues and waste precious energy, okay? When you have extreme mood swings, when you deal with these people all the time and you waste your energy, you can't get anything done, right? And extreme fear of abandonment means that other people will need to take care of you. You're gonna have to take care of them all their life. It's hard to live with that, okay? The worst part is that you'll become so accustomed to their abuse that you think it's normal. And you don't know what reality is, because they're constantly lying. A lot of research has been done on this topic, and most BPD people tell lies consciously and unconsciously. Yeah, Yeah. They start as deliberate lies, but over time, they recollect them as the truth. You know, some statements might not be lies, but maybe like blowing out the truth out of proportions. Okay, this happens a lot more if the DPD is under stress, which is most of the time. Right? This is why I tell you every day, don't lie, because if you see this behavior all the time, your brain will think this is normal, okay? But only 2% of the population has BPD. So lying is not normal. Your brain gets so used to making up stories and embellishing everything that you live in this delusional world, and everybody else, is seeing it. And really, everybody else doesn't want to have anything to do with you because they know that you're lying, okay? And we don't like liars. You're not fooling anyone, okay? Who you are is right here. Right here. You're not fooling anybody by lying, okay? Nobody's fooling anybody. And you can't be successful and lie, all right? These people lie to deflect shame, right? When they think something might look bad, okay, and they feel unworthy, they say untrue things so they can appear better or different, right? Or they think they will appear better and different, because they don't. They just appear stupid. And people with high self-esteem, they don't do that, okay? Successful people don't do that. They don't have to feel like they need to create a cover. Oh, look, there's people over there. So I'm gonna go back really quick. So yeah, like successful people, normal people, they don't need to create a cover, okay? If they make a mistake, they have a really good sense of worthiness, and that sense allows them to admit it, okay? Because they know that everybody makes mistakes, okay? But the BP thinks that they will get rejected if people knew the truth. So they mask the real feelings and the real facts and put up this impressive facade to help make sense of what happened to them. And they start believing that facade because it's unconscious. It's really easy with this AI, because if anybody is using AI generated pictures of themselves, they're doing just that. It's really easy to spot, okay? Another easy way to spot them is because they strongly disagree that they have a problem. Strongly disagree that they have a problem, okay? Even really tiny problems. If the relationship difficulties, everybody else's fault, not their problem, okay? If anyone comes to them and suggests that they might need medication or therapy, they turn it around on them. And then, they make them the crazy people. And they definitely refuse to seek help, okay? And if for some miracle they end up in therapy, their ultimate goal is to convince the therapist they're being victimized. This term is called DARVO, okay? I talked about it. It's called Deny Attack Reverse Victim Offender, DARVO. Okay, it's a term, it's a good term. So they do DARVO on people, okay? They don't have any awareness of understanding that they need help, okay? Another BPD trait is that they need a lot of control, okay? They try to seize the control on every single situation, and they make their own chaotic life. It's the control. They think that if they get control, their life is going to be more manageable, okay? If they feel like their sense of control is threatened, then they feel like this is irrational, and they're going to always try to be in control. Okay, this is a complete nightmare. This is why you're always fighting with them. Okay, you feel provoked and manipulated, and if you react in any way, you lose the fight. Always lose the fight. Okay, you waste all your energy because they feed on your reactions, right? They feed on your reaction. You need to be like a gray rock and say absolutely nothing, right? To protect your peace. Just say nothing. That's why I tell you, don't be defensive. I know it's hard, but trust me, you don't have to tell anybody your side of the story. Time will, okay? Time will tell. And with that, don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat, and don't kill any insects today. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Look at this pretty place. Yay!